What's good with the YouTube account? Convict's Perspective? It's your boy Flacco coming live and direct with Senor Rojo, and we're coming through with a little bit of energy, man. Now, today's topic, as you see, we're going to be discussing about Henry Happy Cervantes de Lodi and about his current case and how he caught a life sentence, basically. I think he caught about, I think it was, 900 months or something like that, 700 months. I don't know what it is, man, but it's an interesting case, man. And there was a whole bunch of sub cases that were caught up after this, as well as Albert Bird Larez from De Salinas, who was also indicted in Operation Black Widow. He got caught up in a hot one. Andrew Mad Dog Cervantes de Stockton, who was in the feds, who was actually their channel at that time and was in charge of the Fed faction of the NF at the time. As well as you had YB from Goshen, who got indicted under that Martin Kung Fu Chacon under that muerte. There was a whole bunch of different side cases, man.
Excuse me.
You had Jaime Cervantes Hennessy from San Mateo. He got caught up in this indictment, as you're going to hear. Shane Bowman. All these type of individuals got caught up in this case. But this case is a little bit interesting, man, because Henry Happy Cervantes had just got out after Operation Black Widow. I think he took about 10 years or 12 years. I don't know what it was. Apparently he got out around 2011 with instructions to reestablish regiments out there in the East Bay, in the Bay Area at that time. And they went kind of buck wild after in the streets, man. But we're going to be talking about a particular case, man, that is kind of interesting, man. And it's kind of what I found that was most interesting about this case is somehow they tied this into a federal RICO Act. When if you really know the underlinings of the case and what really happened and why it happened, it was anything but had to do with the NF or the organization.
Yeah, that's kind of what we've stressed to you guys over and over and make sure we reiterated. Once you're involved in those groups and you're validated and they can prove you're a member, it doesn't matter what kind of crime you do, what it's about, anything like that. They can, and a lot of times they will pursue those RICO, those off the chain sentences, you know what I mean, them gang enhancements, because their goal is to dismantle these groups because of things they do on the streets, you know what I mean? So yeah, when we tell you youngsters and you older cats, man, you know, they will come at you with everything they have when you're a member of one of the big three. Anyway, man, this article is written by a guy, Henry K. Lee, and it appeared in the SF Gate paper back in January 30th of 18. And it says, a top-ranking member of the Nuestra Familia prison gang has been indicted by a federal grand jury on murder, conspiracy, and racketeering charges in connection with the stabbing deaths of two people found in a burning Oakland apartment. Henry Cervantes, 48, was charged with 2 counts of murder in aid of racketeering in the slayings of Johnny Gilbert Navarrete, a 73-year-old paroled killer, and Renee Washington, 56. Cervantes had previously been charged by Alameda County prosecutors. The bodies of Navarrete and Washington were found on the second-floor apartment in the 3100 block of Coolidge Avenue in Oakland, September 11th of 2011, after firefighters doused a blaze there. Autopsies determined that both had been stabbed to death. Cervantes allegedly enlisted Shane Bowman and Jaime Cervantes, said to be gang members, to destroy evidence at the murder scene, according to the indictment handed down earlier this month in U.S. District Court in Oakland. Bowman, Jaime Cervantes, and a third alleged gang associate, Richard Martinez, set fire to the apartment to destroy evidence from the double murder committed the previous day by Happy Cervantes, said the indictment, which named 7 other defendants. If convicted of the murder charges, Henry Cervantes could face a minimum sentence of life in prison or the death penalty. He is being held without bail at Santa Rita Jail in Dublin. In 2004, Cervantes was sentenced to 10 years in federal prison after being convicted of a racketeering conspiracy. He was released in April of 2010. By 2011, he had become the regiment commander of the Nuestra Familia in Oakland, responsible for overseeing the criminal activities of his regiment, the indictment says. Federal prosecutors said top officers of Nuestra Familia issued orders to their associates on the streets from inside the security housing unit at California's toughest lockup, Pelican Bay State Prison. Navarrete also spent time behind bars. He was convicted of second-degree murder and being a felon in possession of a gun for fatally shooting a man in 1981 in Oakland in a dispute over heroin. Navarrete was paroled in 2010. Now, this gentleman, like I said, that wrote the article, Henry K. Lee, he works for the San Francisco Chronicle, but this actually went out in sfgate.com. But, yeah, man.
See, the interesting thing about this case, right, is it had nothing to do with NF organization, street regimental business, or anything, man. From my understanding, Henry Cervantes, man, was pretty much, you know, he was raised in the streets at the age of 11 years old, was already pretty much out there in the streets, was already a Tegato. I mean, no disrespect, but this is what's been
That's what we heard from somebody, a family member of his, man. 11 years old, already using black, man. That is insane, man.
And besides his brother, who I guess he has some issues or whatnot, we're not going to go into that, man. But his sister, he that was his only family he really had, man. And allegedly, these two victims had a dispute in Oakland, man, where they threw her out. They threw his sister out of a window, and where she was messed up, totally terribly, man. Like to where her shoulder, her back, she's not the same. You know what I'm saying? So Happy, like any brother would do, man, any family member, man. I mean, you got to respect the man regardless of what he's a part of. And, you know, we don't stand or promote any type of criminal organizations or gangs. But this, like I said, this crime was a crime of passion. It had nothing to do with any organizational business. He enlisted those of his street regiment members to assist in it. But he went over there clearly to handle his business for his sister, man. And that's why he took action against these two, because these two were responsible for pushing her out the window because they were tegatos. They were living that life. You know what I'm saying? And that's the life that comes with this, man. Like, it's full of twisted turns and crooked fates, man. And unfortunate for anybody, man. I don't wish any harm upon anybody, but that's what happened to his sister, man. And, you know, Happy's always been with the business, man. You go back to Operation Black Widow. I mean, he was the one that was pushing for issues to take out the district attorneys. He's like, you know what, fuck it, I'll do it.
That's right.
I'll just drive up and just smoke them. You know what I mean? He's like that, man. You know what I mean? And Happy's always been with the business. You know what I mean? Like, his main issue, his whole career, man. And this is something that's been transparent. It's been out there, and everybody knows this. Even when he was out during this case, he was still doing heroin. You know what I'm saying? Back in the 90s, when he was in K-Wing, and you had the brothers that were in charge there, man, they were rushing him because of his drug usage. You know what I mean? This was a whole different time era in the 90s where, you know, there was certain things that would happen, and if you had that on your jacket, man, that was frowned upon. You know what I'm saying? So this movida that happened, man, had nothing to do. It wasn't no. There was rumors that the dude was allegedly an NF hermit from years before, and this and that. Well, yeah, he probably was not active. You know what I'm saying? But this had nothing to do with any type of RICO Act. But they created a RICO Act because he enlisted those within the regiment. Allegedly enlisted those. Everything, like we said, is all speculation that's been told to us, man.
Right. Yeah, man. That's what Flacco was saying about the Black Widow indictment, man. That, hey, that guy's with the business, bro. He's not messing around. A lot of them, he's from that last era of dudes that are dead serious about everything they do. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's people with the business in every generation. But, man, at the time of this happened, he was 48. You know, so this puts him about 60 years old now. You know, and that generation's, you know, they're either got life or they're gone or they're with it, you know, and he was definitely with it. You'll never hear anybody say otherwise. You know, and it was a trip earlier hearing that, you know, this is sad, man. 11 years old, already on the black. You know, and no, like Flacco said, no disrespect to this dude at all. We're only reiterating this because that's what's going on in these communities, man. You know what I mean? There is no reason. An 11-year-old kid should be playing baseball, should be riding a skateboard, should be on a bike somewhere. The worst thing an 11-year-old kid should do is maybe knocking on doors and running, man. You know what I mean? Doorbell ditch. 11 years old, bro, already on the heroin. Now, what do you expect, you know, from 11-year-old who grows up like this? Whoever introduced that to him, you're a piece of poop, man. You got to be ashamed of yourself. You know what I mean? What kind of life can you expect when you already have these things introduced to you at such an early age? Whoever did that, whether it be a family member, older homies, shame on you, man. You know? It's ridiculous that that's going on in our communities at 11 years old, man.
But everything gets accumulated, you know, over the years to where you get into a manhood, into an adult, and this is the only life you know. And if you're already at 11 years old, becoming a tecato, and you get the love from the big homies, and you get the ego and the respect, man, it was something that was easy for him to grab and grasp to. Happy's a straight gangster. He's a straight G. There's no doubt about it, man. Let's just keep it 100.
Yeah.
He chose that life, and I actually ran into him a couple times when I was in Santa Rita. I was actually there in the hole, and in his pod for a minute, and I ran into him a couple times and visiting. And he actually talked to me, and when I was getting out, man, he's like, hey, good luck out there. You know what I mean? It kind of was like, I kind of was shocked that he told me that, man. He was telling me an individual we both know was just about to get out that was active. And he told me, I wish you the best for you, man. I kind of was shocked. I'm like, this dude probably wants to kill me, man. I mean, he's definitely with the business like that, man. But, he chose that life, man. And, he's been full-fledged in it at such a young age, man. Like, even when he was in Santa Rita, man, he was involved. He was clearing a lot of people. And he held a lot of rank and authority, man. I mean, he was the one that conducted that one, actually cleared someone that was in PC that was trying to prospect for the red and white. You know what I'm saying? That was an ex-homeboy, believe it or not, who went to PC, came to the hole, and they did a transaction on the streets. I think they paid Happy either $8,000 or $12,000, the HAs did, to actually clear an individual. That's how much pull and power Happy has, and that's just how knee-deep he is in that lifestyle, man. But the thing that I found kind of interesting is that they said that they were taking orders from Pelican Bay in that article. That's not the case. They were taking orders from the feds. He was actually under Mad Dog, Andrew Cervantes, and that's how he got caught up in this indictment, man. And it was him. You had three of them out there. You had Spider Fabella, Bird Lorez, and Happy out there. And
Where is Spider from?
Spider's from Sakura.
Okay. I've heard so many different things about where he's from. And what about Bird?
Bird's from Salinas.
Okay.
But they were all out there interacting, man.
Yeah, I've heard 2 or 3 different cities.
There was some issues. There was issues with Spider out there and how he was running the regiment at that time. I think Bird and them actually had him on freeze and under investigation. I mean, this is what was told to me by someone who was functioning at that time, but that's neither here nor there. They're all indicted. They're all caught up, period.
Yeah, there's been a lot of back and forth about him over the years. You know what I mean? I remember hearing about it back in the 90s as well. Not saying nothing never came of it, but his name was always ringing bells on the streets because Spider was one of those dudes who got to be out a lot. You know what I mean? He wasn't one of those guys sitting in there, indefinitely. But his name was ringing bells on the streets, man. And I'll tell you what, man. When them 2 guys got out, what year did Happy and what's his name get out?
2010, 2011 it says. I mean,
hey, when them dudes got out, there was people on the street scared. Them dudes. They're not playing. Neither one of them.
Oh yeah, they were having them do bank robberies, bro. Yeah. They killed that dude Kung Fu, which a lot of people were upset about, man, because Kung Fu was campaigning out there in the streets. There was some internal conflict of politics, man. There was a whole lot of stuff going on, man. They came out there and regulated, man, and everybody got in line.
Yeah. You know I got a couple of phone calls about, hey, did you hear them guys are getting out? And when the guys talking to me were obviously people who didn't want to run into them guys. And they're just like, them dudes are getting out. They're not playing, bro. They're about it. And you see the results of what happened. You mess with one of their families. Yeah, they're not playing. But hey, man, let's not forget when you join these groups, anything you can do, will do, think about doing, have done, may do, they can hit you with them damn conspiracies, them racketeerings, just because you're in that group, man. Don't forget that, man. Don't forget that when you make these decisions.
See, they were supposed to be given the East Bay at that time, man. That was part of the resolution that they thought between the state and the feds, believe it or not.
I remember.
That was the alleged resolution, was the state was supposed to run everything else, and they were going to give the East Bay to the feds.
Yeah.
And the rumor behind that was because no one wanted the East Bay.
Yeah, East Bay's always been
a difficult place to establish a regiment, because a lot of those youngsters out there, or people from there, man, they like to stand on their own 2 feet, which, much respect to them. I mean, they're really with the business, out there. It's a whole different element. A lot of wars out there, and they have to interact with all kinds of other groups. They're not the majority in numbers, man. So the homeboys out there in the East Bay, man, they don't play around, man. 100.
Yeah, the traditional strongholds in the East Bay, as far as functioning, have always been like Hayward and Dakota. As far as the near East Bay goes, those are the ones that are more similar to your Valley regiments with the way that they act and conduct themselves. I'm not saying that they don't have the Bay Area flavor, but as far as that like wanting to contribute to the cause, Hayward and Dakota, everybody else has always been more on like the independent tip. At least in my experience going back to the early 90s, Concord was hard to establish. Pittsburgh's really, really deep now. There's a lot of homeboys from Pittsburgh. When I was there wasn't. There's hundreds now, hundreds and hundreds. But those were hard places to establish. Richmond, Antioch, Concord, man, all those other East Bay cities in the farther away from the water. It's just they're different people out there. They're not willing to take orders and do that. They're about their own thing. You know what I mean?
You know, the cool thing about this indictment, right, is Mad Dog was down for 20 years.
Yeah.
He was about to get out.
Yeah, they hit him right. Yeah, that's right.
They hit Mad Dog right before he was going to get out, man. It's the same thing they did with Skip and Black Widow. When Black Widow happened, Skip was about to get out. I mean, everybody was waiting for Skip to get out.
Skip didn't want to get out. He didn't, bro.
He probably didn't want to get out, man. But you know, this whole case, it doesn't just circle around them, man. I mean, happy them, they played it smart, man. They actually had a couple homeboys that looked like Africanos that were out there in the East Bay that were able to intermingle. You know what I mean? One of them was Creeper from Santa Rosa and a couple other cats, man. Because I actually ran into a couple of those cats, man. I mean, Happy was doing big things when he was in the county jail, man. Big things, man. I mean, you know, it was kind of weird how it was all operating because they were under the federal faction. You know what I'm saying? But the federal state issue had yet to take fold.
Right. Yeah, that was in the very infancy. Yeah.
It was in the very beginning because they were all still, while they were in Santa Rita, everybody was still in the short corridor and they were putting that push for the end to all hostilities.
Right.
So everything that was occurring right there, man, I mean, they still, being in Santa Rita, they were able to have that much influence on the streets.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I can't believe they let them guys sit in Rita like that, bro. That's crazy.
But he was one of the main ones that was clearing people from SNY, man. He cleared Droopy, a cat named Droopy who programmed in Jamestown. The other individual gangster from Hayward who actually programmed in PC in Santa Rita. He was clearing all these people, man. Like before, in our time era, once you went SNY and it was over. You couldn't have no get backs. There was no money.
Yeah.
So he was the main one that was enforcing that, but it was lining up his pockets, man.
Yeah.
And that's just the nature of the business now. I mean, anytime you come with the right money, whatever you do, man. I mean, you probably can get cleared, man. I mean, you lay $10,000, man. I mean, some crimes they may not be acceptable. During our time era was this: if you never committed any crimes as far as bloodshed against any ends or any NF members, or told on any NF members, or programmed in PC, you were able to still be cleared. If you just locked it up and were in the hole, that was the only option where they may have a little bit of leeway to clear you. Now it doesn't matter if you stayed on SNY and you come back and you want to get cleared, you pay $10,000. It's probably gone down to $5,000 now. You get cleared to function.
That's crazy, bro. See, from either side, the clearing side or the person wanting to be cleared, that just seems weird to me. If I was already deemed and I wanted to buy myself back in, you're never going to be respected the way you were before that happened. You know what I mean? And can you fully trust that they won't just decide, oh, he paid us, let's get him anyway? And vice versa, man. It looks kind of odd, except maybe I could see a couple extraordinary cases where maybe the group as a whole really made a bad call and somebody got messed over, allowing them to come back because it's on you. I get it. But for other kind of stuff like that, man, for anything, buying back, man, that just seems, I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. What you did know about, though, I don't know if you remember, Spider at one time was on the B&L.
I don't remember for sure, bro, but I remember rumors, bro, but I don't remember all the way to the B&L. Personally,
he's had issues a lot of times.
Yeah, no, like I said, his name was ringing bells back in the 90s. Him and Lucho from Hayward, they were always on the hot seat somehow. Always.
Yeah. Well, he got in that situation. He was doing a lot of things too, man. He was clearing individuals. You know, you kicking a pound of dope. He was clearing people that were SNY or no good as well out there in the streets. That's the mindset that he had too, as well. You know what I'm saying? So the whole old era, as far as how everything would operate and function, it's slowly changed a little bit, man.
Yeah.
But don't get it twisted. These are all treacherous individuals, man. You know what I mean?
No doubt. You can't take nothing away from them guys. They're not playing. You don't want to cross them. You don't want them coming to look for you. You know what I mean? At all.
And see, Happy gets a lot of the recognition because he was out there in Rita and because of the Operation Black Widow. But Bird doesn't get enough recognition. Bird's been with the business since day one, man.
Yeah.
He was also involved in that hot one.
How old is Bird? Do you know? Is he older or younger than Happy?
Okay, Bird he's one of the younger ones of the Operation Black Widow case. So he's probably reaching close to maybe 50 at this time, maybe 48, 50.
Thought he was a little older than that.
No, he's not that much older. I think. Let me see. It's been 20 years since they got indicted, man. So, yeah, he was in the tail. He was young. Because you got to remember when Operation Black Widow happened, Corning was only 40.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people forget.
Yeah, Corny was young. Corny's still pretty young, really, for as long as he's held his position, you know.
Yeah.
I remember Tibbs was 48 in '96. So, man, Corny was really young. He was already, you know, the man. Him and Tibbs and Pinky. I mean, he was already the man.
Yes.
Youngster. Corny's always been about that business, though. I mean, some people earn their way to the top, bro. You can't take it away from them.
You know, there's an interesting appeal action on one of the other channels out there, Crime X.
That's a good channel.
Channel called Crime X, and they've been showing videos on Larry Amaro, which was Pocky. They showed one on this case, and they mentioned Jaime Cervantes, which was kind of interesting with that case, man, because he was alleged to be one of the ones that was involved in burning the place down and all that, man. So, you know, there's going to be a lot more information, man. So check it out, man. This was just something that we wanted to bring up, man, because I just did a video about Happy with Gunner the other day, man, and Skip, and I figured that I wanted to reiterate and talk about the reasons why, how he caught the case, and the reason why. It's kind of a sad situation, man, because it's sad that you get caught up in a RICO act based upon defending your sister's honor.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of us would do the same thing that Happy did, man. And to tie that all into a gang case, that's kind of, the feds are kind of a little corrupt for that. Let's keep it 100, man.
Yeah, they take the gloves off, man, when it comes to, you know, NF, MA, and AB, bro. There's nothing that they won't do to try to dismantle, disrupt, disorganize, and just basically be a nuisance to these guys. And they will pursue you for anything, man, on them predicates, bro. Don't think they won't, man. It's best to just go do your time, be a northerner, you know, represent yourself with dignity. But man, once you make any other steps, man, your life could change drastically compared to whether you were just a northerner, bro. I promise you, it gets nasty. The politics get nasty. The charges get nasty. The amount of time things carry starts to get like, are you serious? 28 years for an ounce of dope?
You think
it happens, man.
You think the time is bad? Just think about all the politicking you have to do with it and defend yourself to your own people, man. Those are your own people trying to bring you down, man. It happens over and over again, man. All you gotta do is look at the state and fed, the filters going back and forth. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? I mean, that would be tiring in itself, man. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was probably always bad even back then.
Yeah.
But a lot of things were more concealed. Now everything's pretty much more out there. You know what I mean? The involvement in other people's business, being involved in this business was never before. Before, this would be a hierarchy brass issue. You know what I'm saying? Which would be, it wouldn't be.
It'd be in-house. It'd be quiet.
It wouldn't be revealed to the Cat 2s or any. Some of the Cat 3s, you wouldn't even know what was going on, man. Now, because they're campaigning for people to align one way or the other, all business is being put out there. Like, look at that Truth Filter, man. You know, not to touch base too much on current events because we're not trying to do that, man. But never before in all my career, Rojo's career, would you ever see that being put out to all Northerners and Norteños to see? You would never see any of that, man. And it's going into all the details, man, because right now everybody's campaigning. This is politics. This is where the game gets dirty. Anyways, we just want to touch base on this, do a little follow-up about Henry Happy Cervantes, his situation, man. Personally, man, I think he got the bad end of the stick one way or another because whatever other charges, okay, that's the regimental stuff I don't know about. I'm pretty sure there's more information, but the charges regarding his sister defending her honor, man, I have a hard time not having empathy towards him, if that makes sense.
No doubt. Now you got to defend your family.
You got to defend your family, man. And when you come from that old school mindset of that gang mentality and at a young age already be involved with the gangs, man, you're going to sit there and continue to follow that trend. I mean, what else was he supposed to do? Was he supposed to go to the cops? I don't think no high-ranking NF member is going to do that. It's just not going to happen.
Most street people, period, aren't going to do that, let alone somebody of his stature with his reputation and the image that he has to uphold. And you know what I mean? His honor, bro. He's going to do everything by the book. He's an OG, bro. He's one of a few of that dying breed. You know what I mean? There's no doubt. Serious man.
Anyways, we're going to probably do a follow-up a little bit more about the case, a little bit more about Bird in the future, man. But this is just a brief account for you guys, man, to understand it, man. And this is just one small part of the case, man. The two alleged murders, man, and how and why it happened, man. You know what I mean? And this is just the limited details, man. The main thing we're trying to stress is, man, this wasn't really any gang hits. What they weren't trying to target no dropouts. It was nothing like that. It was an individual who did harm to his sister.
With that said, man, it's your boy Rojo. Appreciate you guys as always. Have a good one.
Right?